Hey everybody, my name's TSW, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to actually prepare for Classic WoW. Now lots of people have made video guides and forum posts, Reddit posts, guides and all sorts showing you how to do everything in game, whether it be dungeon leveling, questing routes, profession guides, all that kind of thing. And they're all really interesting and they're a lot better than any kind of video guide that I'd be able to produce. So I thought I'd do a guide that would be a little bit different, an IRL preparation guide. So we're going to be talking about food, sleep, and any other min-maxing things we can do, because basically all it comes down to is the amount of time and the optimum performance for playing behind the computer, and then what you can do to ensure you have the least amount of IRL responsibilities outside of sleep. So without further ado, let's get started. So food is obviously very important, obviously. The most important thing I think is eat small and eat often. You don't want to be having big meals. You can have the healthiest meal ever, but it's still going to slow you down and just fill you up too much, and you'll be bloated, and your body will sense this as being ready for sleep. In essence, you know, your body is ready, it's done, it's finished, and that can lead to sleepiness. You do not want to have that. So what you want to be eating is small amounts. They don't have to be like mouthfuls or like small snacks. They can be just light meals, small meals, like a bowl of cereal and a banana, or a sandwich. Things like that I think are kind of like the ideal goal. You don't want to be having like a proper big lunch or an evening meal. Those are the sort of things we want to avoid, because we've all been in a scenario where it's maybe 8 p.m, you've just finished watching a film, you've maybe had a takeaway meal, and after the film you're just slumped on the sofa ready to just not move. You don't have any kind of like willpower to do anything strenuous. And also, if you were to, you know, you're not in a performance state. Obviously you don't want to be eating junk food. Maybe what you could do is, you know, order a pizza or something once you're doing 60 as kind of like a reward. But if you want to get that really early Ragnaros kill, or once you're dinging 60 you want to seriously chase your BIS list, then maybe wait until later to order that pizza. One thing that I really think helps me is caffeine starvation before launch of a new server. I've done this a few times on private servers and it works really well. A lot of people find sleep is their bottleneck when it comes to leveling, and that's the case with me as well to a certain extent, but there are other things as well that make me want to seriously get away from the computer. But we'll get into that later, you know, when you're pushing 2+ days of game time. So ideally, you know, as long as you can before thinking about taking caffeine tablets, you want to be caffeine starving yourself. So since the beginning of August, I've not had any tea. I don't drink coffee, and I don't drink energy drinks, but even things like chocolate I've limited or cut out entirely as we come towards Classic. Basically anything that has high levels of caffeine in, you want to cut out, so that when Classic comes around, and about 20 hours for me personally is when I want to be first popping my initial caffeine pill. Because I've caffeine starved myself more than normal, I think I might do a half tablet first and then see how the next 6 hours last. Also, on the subject of caffeine, something that I read recently was a coffee nap, I think is what people were referring to it as. This is when you drink coffee and then go for a 30-minute nap, and in that 30 minutes the caffeine works its way into your system, and then when your alarm clock goes off after half an hour, you're alert and awake and the caffeine has done its job and you're ready to go. I wouldn't say this is that good for WoW. It might be for you personally, but it's not something I've done before, and doing things that you've not done before I think is a recipe for, well, uncertainty, at least possibly disaster. You don't want to be doing things if you're a serious WoW player on launch, putting in lots of hours and days initially, if you haven't tried them before. Maybe you're going to react not very well to caffeine tablets. Maybe you don't know kind of like your threshold when it comes to how much sleep you need. Bottlenecks are a very important topic when it comes to staying awake and playing video games for long periods of time. What is the main issue you have when leveling for long periods of time? For me personally, it's the number one issue is dry eyes. So I've got eye drops. Not all eye drops are the same. I've got Optrex intensive eye drops for dry eyes. This I find works very well. Kind of if I'm doing big gaming sessions daily back to back, there is a soreness and a dryness to my eyes, and this helps a lot. I've tried other eye drops. Some of them make my eyes sting. These ones don't. These ones are just great. These ones are like just feel very neutral when you put them in. They just kind of like revitalize your eyes. So I give them 2 thumbs up. Also for me, I get like if I am playing for 2 days straight, or if I have like more than like 24 hours ish time without having a shower, there's a dry patch that occurs between my pecs, and that can get itchy. So I've got some moisturizer as well, just to put between my pecs to make sure that I don't get a dry itchy patch. And then on top of that, it's just sleep for me. Also my feet can swell up as well when playing for extended periods of time. So I'm hoping to remedy that this time by having an app on my phone which makes a noise every hour or every 2 hours if I configure it that way. I think that's a really good idea in order to make sure that you're just getting out of your chair, standing up, doing some star jumps, or what do Americans call star jumps? Whatever they call them. And just getting like slightly active, because in the past I have had like tightness in my feet and my toes, and then I've had to rely on going to sleep to lessen that effect. And it also probably has something to do with my chair. I'm using a DX Racer desktop chair, not a sponsor. Sorry, dining chair. It's from their dining chair range. So I could get a new chair, but this close to launch, I think I've left it too long because I wouldn't want to change anything really in my setup so close to launch in case it fails. For example, like if I have Windows updates, no thank you. If I install a new graphics card, or if I change my chair, you know, it might be in theory the best ergonomic chair in the world, but I'm not going to sit in it immediately and be able to sit for days on end comfortably. You kind of need to break in the chair if it's brand new, or your body needs to adjust and feel comfortable in the new position. So in this dining chair, it's not really a sponsor. It's not really a DX gaming chair, if that wasn't obvious enough. Yeah, I'm obviously used to sitting in this chair. I've sat in this chair for like a couple of years at least. So yeah, and like same with mouse, keyboard. Don't be like, oh, the day before Classic comes out, I'm going to buy a new keyboard. I'm going to buy a new SSD and load up a new operating system so I can have a nice fresh WoW installation. That sounds really risky to me if you're planning to go very hard and take this seriously, because your computer might, with Windows 10 as it is, it might just randomly do a restart midway through leveling or in MC to try and do an update because you hadn't sat there and nursed your computer with the fresh install, making sure it does all of its mandatory updates there and then. You don't want to be caught off guard in any way like that. And there are going to be certain circumstances for every player that are going to be unique to them, of this kind of theme, where when it comes to, if you're happy with your setup, your chair, your mouse, your keyboard, your microphone, your monitors, whatever, just make, as long as they're rock solid, keep them that way. Don't add any extra unknowns to the scenario, or untested unknowns that you haven't played with and gamed with for hours on end prior to launch. Cooking food, you don't want to be cooking anything really once the servers go live. You want to have you want to be always considering what I call the convenience factor. So you can have things like this, which is just like a chocolate drink with like some carbs and stuff in it. This is very, very high convenience factor. You've also got things like this Actimel thing for like vitamins and stuff. These are very, very high on the convenience factor, because you just pop them open and consume them easy. There obviously is an element of expense to these convenience foods. Also, you don't want to be consuming all of your calories as liquids, because they're gonna just, come straight out as water. And that can dehydrate you, or it can just have sloppy poos, and we don't want to be having any sloppy poos. Also, with regards to diet, you don't want to change it too much. Your body can not take on any new diets, just like that, and you'll be plain sailing. You want to kind of like ease yourself into it. So if you're going from a guy that would eat microwave meals and fizzy drinks to all of a sudden, okay, on classic, I'm going to drink nothing but water and fruit and plain rice and stuff, like, you're probably going to do more harm than good. If you just go straight onto that, your body's just going to have to adapt to that, as well as not having much sleep. So that could be difficult, at least. And then you've got obviously fruit and stuff. Here's some clementines that went past their best before yesterday, but they'll still be good. So yeah, fruit is a really good thing. If you don't take anything else away from this video, fruit is really good. If you want to be a top gamer, fruit is really good. Okay, what else we got? Prepare food beforehand. If it does take preparation time, put it in the fridge, put it in the freezer. Ideally, you would know that these foods come out of the fridge and taste good, and they don't spoil whilst in the fridge. Have a rough idea of how long they will be good for once put in the fridge, as well as freezer as well. Make sure there's enough space for all this food if you're going to be putting it into the freezer, and making sure that it comes out the freezer nice and it's nice and edible. You don't want to be doing all this preparation for food that you've never eaten before, that you've never prepared before, that you've never reheated ever before. You might not like it, best case scenario, or worst case scenario, you're allergic to it and you get carted off to the emergency room because yeah, I don't know, something's got nuts in it or something, I don't know. But it needs to be food similar to your computer setup, stuff that you trust. Make sure that goes into what you eat as well. So sleep. I've heard some people complaining about EUs have a really bad have a really bad time for the servers to come online, because it comes out at 11 p.m. and people are just going to play for a bit and then go to sleep. I mean, that's great for me as an EU player if people are going to log off, less competition. But for anyone who's serious, whenever the game comes out, doesn't matter whatsoever, as long as we know in advance and can adjust our sleeping patterns. So what I'm going to be doing is sleeping as much as I can on Monday, trying to get 14, 16 hours of sleep. Obviously I'm not going to be asleep for all of that, but you definitely want to have a face mask on, or like a night, whatever you call it, something to shield your eyes so that your body doesn't think that it is daytime. But obviously once the sun goes down, it'll be a lot easier to sleep. But 11 p.m. isn't ideal, but it's it's fine. It shouldn't be too bad. Also, what you can do in preparation for sleep is block out as much sunlight as you can from your bedroom, assuming is that your bedroom that you're going to be sleeping in. There are some people who have had like sofas and stuff next to their PCs. I wouldn't recommend this, purely because I don't think the quality of the sleep you get is worth the 2 minutes it takes, or like 20 seconds it takes to walk to and from your bedroom to have a proper mattress, as well as unless you frequently sleep on a sofa and your body's used to it, it's again reducing the amount of unknowns whilst getting ready for Classic and leveling and killing Ragnaros. How often are you going to shower? That's another consideration. I'd say every time you wake up is a good idea. Speaking of waking up as well, is queue time to log on to the server. You don't want to be getting out of bed, running to the PC, logging in, and it's 6 p.m. your server time. It's peak hours and there's a 3-hour queue. And you've just been asleep and you're alert and ready to go for another big session, and 3 hours is wasted. You try to go back to sleep, you can't go back to sleep. You just sat there in bed looking at the ceiling and you've got 3 hours to do nothing. That sucks. You want to ideally be planning your sleep around times when the server is going to be low capacity, so there's no or very limited queue. Additionally, what you can do is if you have a good idea of what the queue time is, let's say it's 3 hours long, the queue roughly, and let's say that you're going for a 6-hour sleep, you want to be waking up when there's maybe so sleep for maybe 3.5 hours and then log into that 3-hour queue with 2.5 hours sleep remaining. So wake up halfway through, although that will not be pleasant waking up halfway through, believe me, but it means that you're able to log on, start that 3-hour queue duration, go back to sleep for 2.5 hours, come back, and you've got half an hour left to log on. The reason why I would always suggest having plenty of time between waking up and the end of the queue is the queue time may change. It may change drastically. Also, if you spend more than half an hour at the character screen, you'll get kicked out from the server. Talking about logging in, I'd also remove any kind of authenticator, because it's another step you need to get through to log on. And also make sure your password is something that's very easy to type. Also something that you would remember, obviously, because if you change your password to something really simple, a lot of people will copy and paste their password in. Because I'm streaming, I type it out, and it just needs to be something very simple to just go enter like that. That's how I type it. Okay, so I think that's all good. One other thing you can do if you want to be, really min-maxy is move your microwave and fridge closer to your computer, or vice versa. I know I've played with people who have played in the kitchen before. All of this min-maxy stuff, I should say, is more so for solo leveling players. One of the things that, playing in a 5-man team doing dungeons has pros and cons, obviously. The major con is that you're relying on other people. When it comes to solo leveling yourself, it's all you, baby. You are responsible for everything, okay? So you can sleep as much as you want. You can, sleep for 4 hours. You can sleep for 10 hours. As soon as you're ready at the computer, logged in, boom, it's all you. I think there'll be a fair bit of, considerably more downtime playing in a team than there is on your own. Also in a team, you have the ability to auto-follow people whilst you run to the next city or something. You can obviously run to the kitchen, run to the toilet, do what you need to do quickly, and you're back without much issue, really, no downtime. But if you're on your own, you need to, time that poo between flight points. You need to, get that next piece of food from the kitchen quick. Also, if stuff isn't going to spoil, if it doesn't need a fridge, you can just have it with you. You just have a big box of food, and yeah, see how it goes. So coming back to having showers, when you wake up, it's really good because for me at least, when I wake up, I have a shower. I hope it's something similar for most people. That's part of the morning ritual, same as brushing your teeth and stuff. Like my body, my mind is going to be expecting it, as that's how the mornings start. So if I start to change my lifestyle considerably for Classic WoW, I'm going to be, jarred. Like my body and mind aren't going to be quite ready for it, and it's going to be very different. And that can add, just a slight amount of stress, but it's stress that you don't need. Obviously, there's a compromise. You don't want to be doing all of the crazy stuff that you'd be doing in the morning. I'm not going to be ironing shirts like I normally would before work. I'm not going to be doing that when I'm about to play WoW, because that's just not worthwhile. Obviously, I don't need my ritual to be exactly how it normally is, but I do want it to be somewhat similar. So for the sake of brushing my teeth, which is good practice anyway, 9 out of 10 dentists will agree, just be smart about it. Do things that your body is going to be waking up from, maybe 4 or 6 hours sleep. Have a quick shower, shampoo, face stuff, body stuff, scrub, rinse out. Okay. And for me at least, I feel so revitalized after a shower, and I think for the sake of 3 minutes worth of shower, I'm definitely going to be able to perform better and just feel better, feel more confident. When I'm in Discord talking to people in a dungeon run, because that's how I plan to level, it's just going to be overall a better experience, and probably faster for the sake of that 3 minutes, just because I'm just feel better. Yeah, that's all good. Just going down my list of things I've got written down here. So on the physical side of things, I think that skinnier people generally have a advantage. They're going to be like their sitting daily amount of energy that they're going to be using is going to be less than a fat guy. That's just how it is. Heart rate as well should probably be slower as well. You're just going to be able to sit and not be not be affected by hunger or sleep as much as a fat person. It's simple as, if you're a fat person, your heart rate's going a lot more, your body heat is a lot more, you're going to just be, there's a lot more body to manage and to fuel. So slimmer people are going to be better off, but I don't think it's by a huge amount. However, if you were taking this super seriously, I think a moderate amount of weight loss would be worthwhile. However, you definitely don't want to be doing any kind of massive downsizing prior to anything like this, because your body's going to be in shock. And again, you want to be feel as pure and as high performance as you can. You can't just crash course diet and then expect to be feeling awake and alert as you want to be for playing WoW. Cardio is obviously very good. I'd recommend getting into cardio. Also on the Sunday night, I'm going to be going out for a walk just to get my mind, body and soul ready, but most importantly just to make sure that I can sleep well on Monday for as long as I can. I am not going to do any strenuous working out or anything on the Sunday. I probably shouldn't have done as much as I did today on the Saturday. I have to do lots of stretching probably today and tomorrow, just to make sure that I am in peak physical condition for Classic. But I don't want to have anything feeling tight when playing WoW. Although if you're not doing, would I recommend stretching to regular folks? I don't think so. It can't hurt, but I wouldn't say it's required. There's been a meme that I've been reading online about nappies or diapers, and obviously that's just a meme. Trying to save time by wearing a nappy. I mean, that kind of implies that you're not going to be changing the nappy, which is just going to be I'd imagine shit's just being chafing and just having blisters and wet slop. Anyway, enough of that. You obviously want to be telling your friends and family that you're going to be away, not contactable for the period of time, for 2 weeks, for example. Obviously taking time off work is extremely basic, and I hope that your boss knows, because I don't think mine does. Anyway, like on previous servers, I've played for 36 hours at a time, followed by 4 hours sleep, followed by another 24-hour session, and that felt, I'm not going to say it was easy, but definitely going forward, for me personally, I know that I would be able to do 48 hours, then 4 hours sleep, and then 24 hours. I think I've caffeine starved myself enough at the moment that is achievable. However, because I am doing a 5-man leveling group, I know the people I'm leveling with are not going to be able to do that. What I might do, it all comes down to like a compromise. If you're in a party, like all this min-max stuff is so much better if you're solo questing, because you have ultimate control of everything, apart from like logging onto the server. Anything in game you don't have control over, but managing your time, you have ultimate, all the control. One thing that you could also experiment with maybe is, if you are having issues with being sat down all the time, is have multiple chairs to kind of go through, just so that you're not constantly in exactly the same position. Slouching is something that I'm no doubt going to be doing, but it's something that you want to try and avoid. But just moving around. Like I say, I've got a buzzer app thing on my phone, so every hour or two, whenever it doesn't get annoying, to go off, and that will be my cue to assess, do I have a bowl that I've eaten from that's ready to go into the kitchen? Yes. Do I have enough water? Yes. Whatever. So I'll take my bowl, do some jumping jacks. That was what I've heard NA people say, this thing where you're jumping up. Anyway, just do jumping jacks on the way to the kitchen with your bowl. Rinse it quickly, obviously during a bit of downtime. Rinse it out, let it dry, and jumping jacks back to the computer. Star jumps, that's what we call them in England. At least that's what I grew up knowing them as, star jumps. But now everyone online calls them jumping jacks. Anyway, so yeah, 2 birds, 1 stone. I'm getting my bowl back to the kitchen, and I'm also doing a bit more movement, getting my heart going, getting my blood going. Because one thing I get is just a swelling in my feet. And just having your blood moving a bit better is going to help with that. Also, just in 5-man groups, you're definitely going to have a lot more downtime with just people, you're relying on other people so much. So that can be really nice if you're the slacker in the party, but it also can be very frustrating if you're the guy wanting to push really hard. But definitely do utilize, even if you don't need to go to the toilet, you're running to the next dungeon, just get someone on follow, assuming that it's not lagging and that people are going to get removed from the follow. And obviously, if someone is following you, speed to the next dungeon isn't the most important thing. Having that guy following you is. Just walk forward, stop, walk forward, stop, walk forward, stop. Make sure that they are with you all the time. Because I know from, obviously, I'd imagine Classic launch to be better than private servers, but definitely early on in private servers, following can be a bit tricky. And if you've made it this far into the video, I'll just say briefly, illegal drugs, ? If that's something that you want to do, obviously, that's up to you. Also, if you want to do super duper min-maxing, I think that there is a definite, how do I say this, performance gain by not masturbating or having an orgasm. Your testosterone will naturally peak, I think about 7 days is what I've read, if I remember. So so it's no nut Classic really for the first week or two. Gotta get those 40 nerds all with blue balls in front of Rag. There will be a performance increase. Your focus will be higher, your determination, and just your drive, not just sexual drive, but also just drive in general. I know that boxers do this, and I think a lot of other really physically demanding sports definitely do this. You can look it up online if you want to have that in your search history. But yeah, it's a thing, and yeah, why not? If you're doing all the rest of this, why not? Anyway, thanks for watching this video. It's been very drawn out, very long, but you know, take it or leave it. If any of this information was useful, let me know in the comments. If any of it, you know, if you've got your own ideas or suggestions, let me know. I will put the YouTube heart thing on your comment. If I think it's a good idea, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I'll be streaming on launch. Hopefully it's all good. You know, ultimately have fun. Don't worry about any of this if you don't care. You know, it's a video game, have fun. But some people have fun by going hardcore. You know, it's a thought experiment at the end of the day. Just how to min-max. Hopefully there are 40 people who are as like-minded as you are, regardless of how hard you want to push. I need to blow my nose and end the video. In that order. Okay, cheers guys. Have fun.